This is a 2006 Honda S2000, and if you're at all familiar with the Fast and Furious franchise, then there's a very good chance that you're familiar with this car as well. This car made two crucial appearances throughout the Fast and Furious movies, the first of which was in the Fast and the Furious as Johnny Tran's Honda S2000, and secondly in Too Fast, Too Furious as Suki's Honda S2000. Now, this car obviously played crucial roles in those two movies, which is part of why it's such an icon today. However, it's also one of, if not the best cars that Honda has ever made, which is the main reason why it's such an icon today. Today, I'm going to break down exactly what's so special about this car, tell you a little bit about what the power under the hood is so capable of doing, and explain why you should come down to RPM Garage today to check it out.
I wouldn't treat none of them different. Sometimes you get put on a mission, so you just gotta play a position. Sometimes you get put on a mission, so you just gotta play a position. I had to go out and get it, I had to make some decisions. It was just me and my brothers, I wouldn't treat none of them different. Sometimes you get put on a mission, so you just gotta play a position. Sometimes you get put on a mission, so you just gotta play a position.
As desperately as I'd like to talk about the power under the hood, I have to start by talking about the exterior of this car. This is really Honda's first and only car that's really been designed like an authentic sports car. And what I mean by that is that it really follows the true layout of the authentic sports car. You've got the engine in the front, a two-person cockpit or cabin, whichever you'd like to call it, and then, of course, a very short back end with the power being delivered to the rear wheels. Now, because Honda has designed the car like that, it looks fantastic. And one of the reasons that the hood is so long, in case you were wondering, is because the engine is actually mounted longitudinally in the car like this instead of horizontally, which is how most four-cylinder engine cars are laid out. However, going beyond the layout of the car itself, I have to talk about some of the exterior modifications that make this car even more special. Now, this car has been lowered on coilover suspension for some beautiful fitment, which looks absolutely fantastic on this car. And of course, it does have these aftermarket 17-inch Encay wheels on it that look excellent as well. In addition, you may have noticed that this car has a carbon fiber hardtop. Now, this car was only sold as a soft top convertible. So, of course, a number of aftermarket hardtop alternatives have been made available, and this car has, of course, been blessed with one. I personally love the carbon fiber. It is entirely carbon fiber, both inside and out, and it looks fantastic on this car. Last but not least, there is also a Dev Sport front lip on the car, which adds a subtle amount of aggression to the profile of the car and really improves the overall look and stance. Going back to the stock look of the car, though, there are obviously so many traits about this car that make it so unique and so very cool. When it comes to traditional sports cars like this one, I truly love just seeing the aggressive lines and the way that the body has been shaped for aerodynamic purposes and, of course, for handling. Now, this car, interestingly enough, has a very unique chassis that makes it feel and drive exactly like a race car, which is also part of the reason it is shaped in such a way. And I will talk about that a little bit more later down the road. For now, though, I want to dive into the interior really quickly and talk about what's going on in there before we dive under the hood. Like the exterior, just about every feature of the interior of this car has been designed to offer a race car feel and be an authentic sports car. This extends first and foremost to these Recaro cloth bucket seats. Now, these are insanely comfortable and also insanely supportive, which is very, very necessary, especially when you consider the handling capabilities that this car has. Springing forward from that, though, however, this car also has an aftermarket Momo steering wheel, which is insanely easy to control and really makes for very easy cornering, fast handling, and some of the best turning that I could possibly do in any car. A couple of other aftermarket things have been done to this car as well. Like I mentioned before, this car does have a hard top roof on it. Now, this is obviously aftermarket, and this is carbon fiber, and it is so cool being inside of it, looking up and seeing nothing but carbon fiber. That is one of the coolest and best experiences that I've ever had in any of these sports cars. Additionally, this car also has an aftermarket AEM air-fuel ratio gauge, which will be explained a little bit more once we dive under the hood. And finally, one of the coolest party tricks about the S2000 is its stereo system. So this pops down this panel here and reveals an aftermarket Pioneer stereo with Bluetooth, phone connectivity, and a CD player. But what I truly love about it is the fact that it's so hidden away. Honda has really designed this car to look, feel, and perform exactly like a track car or a race car, which includes hiding away the stereo behind a very sleek S2000 painted panel. Now, frankly, I love being in this interior, but it is insanely hot out, so I'm going to pop on the AC for a few short moments before we dive under the hood and talk about exactly why this car is so fast, so special, and such an awesome performer. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there is no limit to the amount of things that make this car the icon it is today. However, one of the most crucial parts of its iconicness is its engine. This car is powered by a 2.2 liter inline 4-cylinder engine that is known as the F20C. Now, bear that in mind for later on in the video because there's a lot about this engine that I need to talk about. However, without modifications, this engine produces 237 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, which may not sound like a ton until you remember that this car only weighs 2,855 pounds, or about a ton and a half. Because of that, this car has an insane power-to-weight ratio that makes it incredibly fun to drive. However, this engine is not stock, and I'm sure you could have guessed that just by looking at it, but we're going to break down exactly what makes it not stock. This car has been fitted with an aftermarket Craftsworks supercharger. It is a centrifugal supercharger, and it is also attached to a Mishimoto intercooler. Now, this kit costs about $5,000 to $6,000 and adds a ton of horsepower, which means that this car is producing approximately 300 horsepower, and that is more than enough, especially considering, like I said before, the power-to-weight ratio. Additionally, this car also has long tube headers, a bunch of other small modifications, and an aftermarket exhaust that sounds fantastic. And of course, I will be sure to start it up for you later in the video. When it comes to this engine though, we really need to talk about what makes it so great. Now, the F20C was developed solely for this Honda S2000, and it is one of the greatest engines of all time. Technically speaking, it was the first engine to come stock with a rev limiter at 9,000 RPM, and though Ferrari claims that they did it 12 years later with their V8 engine in the 458 Italia, it was actually this car that did it first. Now, additionally, this car also has the highest naturally aspirated power per liter of almost any engine ever made. This car produces 125 brake horsepower per liter, which is something that no other car has ever accomplished to most people's knowledge. Now, obviously, this car is boosted and producing significantly more horsepower than a stock Honda S2000 might, but nonetheless, it is fantastic what this engine is capable of. Obviously, this power is insane with this car, and it makes it even better that, like I said before, it's delivered to the rear wheels. Now, in between the engine and the rear wheels is a 6 manual transmission, which in my opinion is the best transmission you can possibly have, especially in a car like this. When you're driving this car, it truly feels like an authentic sports car, and that is what I love absolutely most about all of it. And I know I say that a lot about a lot of features about this car, but it is truly one of a kind, the driving experience that this car provides. Honestly, I truly love driving this car, and the fact that it is a front-engine, manual transmission, rear-wheel drive supercar that is boosted and all of these awesome modifications done to it makes it one of the best cars and one of my favorite cars that I've ever reviewed. Finally, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the other things that make this car cool, and then we're going to wrap up the video and maybe even go on a little bit of a drive in it. There's obviously a lot I can talk about with this car, and I would love to go on endlessly about all of the things that I love about it from bumper to bumper, because honestly, there's everything that I love about it. But I have to address something first. As a few of you eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed, this car's not parked in the same way that it was when I began this video, and that is because of this Texas heat. The sun is setting right over there, and I have zero interest in staring into that and getting burned. As a result, I have turned the car around a little bit, and obviously we're going to continue the video from there. Now, going back to the car itself, this car is unique in that it has perfect 50-50 weight distribution, which is something very, very few cars of any make, manufacturer, or model can offer. This is because the engine is mounted behind the front axles right around here, and all of the weight is centered in the exact middle of the car, which means that it offers one of the best driving experiences on the planet. Now, when it comes to this car being for sale, now it has an MSRP of right around the $34,000 mark, and it's had close to $10,000 worth of upgrades put onto it, making it approximately a $45,000 build. Now, this car is currently for sale at RPM Garage for only $27,991, which is a steal considering all of the awesome performance that you get, the excellent looks that you get, the interior amenities that you get, and obviously, it being a Honda, the reliability that you get. So despite the fact that this does have 123,000 miles on the odometer, this car is almost certain to last for a very, very long time into the future. Frankly, if it weren't quite a little bit out of my price range, I would gladly buy it myself. But that being said, I don't have the funds to do so, so I cannot urge you enough to go down to RPM Garage today, check it out, test drive it, and maybe even buy it. Finally, I'm going to link all of our social media and website down in the links below. Our TikTok is there, our Instagram is there, and our website. Of course, feel free to check out our inventory, follow us on Instagram, and of course, be sure to like, share, and comment on our TikToks because we would love some growth. Finally, we do have some merchandise coming very soon in the near future, so we very much hope that you'll participate and buy some of that as well. Thank you guys all so very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.